Hello everyone, my name is Christina and it is my privileged honor to introduce you to the founder and first king of the great nation of Saudi Arabia. His name is Abdul Aziz Abdul Rahman Al Faisal Al Saud, but since time is at a premium, we'll just call him Abdul Aziz. Cool with you guys? Okay. Our future king was born in 1876, or 1880, or 1881, depending on who you ask. His father was the ruler of the House of Saud. He was born in Riyadh, the capital of present-day Saudi Arabia. But back then, Riyadh was truly a sandbox, in the middle of the desert, in the middle of a bigger desert, in the middle of nowhere. He was educated in conservative Islam on the principles of jurisprudence and monotheism. His conservative Muslim beliefs would serve him very well throughout his remarkable life. Unfortunately, his education was interrupted when, due to his family's feud with Ibn Rashid, they were forced into exile, where he lived in poverty. When he was 15, Abdul Aziz married his first wife. Sadly, she died shortly afterward, but it is said that she was his one true love. He would care for many wives in his future, because it's good to be the king, but she would never be replaced in his heart. In January 1902, when Abdul Aziz was only about 20, with his father's blessing and only a few loyal followers, the future king returned to Riyadh to successfully reclaim his family's lands for the Saud dynasty. But alas, it's Lillian's turn to take up the story of King Abdul Aziz. Great talking to you. Take the wheel, Lillian.
No problem, Christina. Hey guys, it's Lillian. So far we've talked about Abdul Aziz's education, exile, and sweet conquering skills, but there is so much more to this guy. By age 23, he was a leader. Thanks for proving that you're cooler than us, Abdul. Anyway, taking back Najd was not going to be easy, even with the assistance from the Ottoman Empire in 1904. It wasn't until 1912, with the help of a well-trained army, that Abdul Aziz finally had full control over the Najd. With all of the action and statesmanship, we need to include some romance and procreation. His first marriage, and said to be true love, was when he was 15 and in exile. Sadly, his first romance came to an end when his wife died soon after. However, that did not stop him from marrying many women and spreading his seed like nobody's business. From what we know, he married 22 women officially, but the actual number of mates was over 100. He had more than 40 sons that were counted, and so many more daughters that apparently weren't counted. In December of the year 1915, Ibn Saud and the British entered into a treaty that made the lands of the House of Saud a British protectorate. For this, Abdul Aziz promised to make war against Ibn Rashid, who was now an ally of the Ottomans. However, Abdul Aziz did not immediately fight against the Ibn Rashid. Instead, he argued with the British that the payments they were offering him were not enough to wage war. Finally, in 1920, the House of Saud marched against Rashidi and crumpled their dominion in 1922. This defeat doubled the House of Saud territory. In 1925, the Sauds defeated Hussein, and in 1927, the British government recognized the House's power. But I'll stop here and let you all hear a bit from Karen.
Thanks, Lily. Hey there, guys. My name is Karen Carr. So far, we have talked about how Ibn Abdul was built as a person. Now I will share with you how he built the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia from the ground up. Saudi Arabia was founded by Ibn Saud while initiating the revival of Islam in 1912. In 1926, he proclaimed himself king, and in 1932, he officially changed the name Arabian Peninsula to Saudi Arabia. He was a founder, so he had that honor to put his family name into it. Now riddle me this, what do you think Saudi Arabia is known for? If you're thinking oil, that is the right answer. Oil is the Saudi Arabian economy. Ibn Saud has built his state, but he had no idea he was sitting on piles of billions, maybe even trillions of dollars. Oil preserved under Saudi Arabian state was yet to be discovered. Saudi Arabia was still a rich state as it made most of its profits from the pilgrimage. In 1930 was the first year oil was struck, and 1940s and 50s, Saudi oil brought in a lot of wealth. Like it was raining money everywhere. He was cashing out. Along with the pilgrimage, oil deposits of Arabia were one of the richest reserves in the world. He brought in a lot of profits. Ibn Saud was a generous being. He was known as a hereditary imam. He used his profits to improve the state nationally by building parks and schools and roads for his people. But he was still allowed to have a little fun with his money. Much of his profits were spent on his royal family. He had a big family. It's a good thing he was rich since he had to feed all his wives and kids. Because of the oil reserves, Saudi Arabia was recognized by the world. These oil reserves helped Saudi Arabia build relationships with the United States and Britain. Abdul Aziz's relationship with America was close due to the close connection of Arab interests by Roosevelt. This relationship helped create Aramco. Abdul's relationship with Britain did not go so well. His meeting with Winston Churchill turned out to be a bitter one. He was smoking and drinking in front of Abdul on purpose, knowing it was disrespectful, so that ticked Ibn off. Despite the relationship with Aramco and Britain, Abdul Aziz kept Saudi Arabia on the neutral side of World War II. He tried his best to stay away from T.E. Lawrence and the Arab revolt during the World War, while building on the Arabian Peninsula. During 1920s, he took over Mecca, Medina, and Jeddah on the Red Sea coast. Abdul Aziz had created an empire on his name, but eventually his time came to an end and a new cycle had to begin. He was 73 when he died in 1953 due to a heart attack at his Taif palace in a resort above the Red Sea. He was buried in Riyadh in an unmarked grave as a part of a Wahhabi tradition. After a few years, almost no one could remember where his grave was. Kinda sad for a man who founded an oil-based empire, but what can we do?